Good morning, everyone. Um, Under lockdown, quarantine here, 28th of March 2020. Been a rather interesting week, or more than a week. Um, just got a nice surprise through the door, which I'm about to show you. This is a nerdy computer video, so for those of you who aren't into that, might be seeing this on my Facebook. Best switch off now if it doesn't interest you, but I'm posting it here because I know that there's plenty of people who will be interested. So, some of you probably chatting to me before may be aware of there was a Kickstarter about 3 years ago for the ZX Spectrum Next, which was not an emulator, not a sort of a modern equivalent. Well, it is a modern equivalent, but it's not. It's not like the mini NES and the mini SNES, which are just modern recreations using sort of well, they are modern recreations. What am I talking about? Emulations. They're not modern emulations of existing systems like these are. So the ZX Spectrum Next initially was a board, and I can't remember all the names and so on, but it was a board that would fit inside an original ZX Spectrum Plus or ZX Spectrum 48K case. It implemented the original ZX Spectrum pretty much exactly, including all of its quirks and eccentricities, because the board was created using an FPGA, field programmable gate array. So as far as the code is concerned, it's actually running on the real hardware, not on sort of modern hardware running in emulation. And there's an important difference, but I'm not going to go into all of that. There's an important difference as to why recreating it in new hardware rather than emulating it is important, because it means then that there are certain games and demos and things that took advantage of unique quirks and timing issues and so on in the original hardware that won't work on an emulator, or maybe don't work as planned. Original hardware, for example, you can't use that. Like the Interface 1 and 2, micro drives, ZX printer, all of those sorts of things. So yeah, as you can see, I have quite the collection of old computers here. I actually do have a cabinet upstairs, which is my Sinclair cabinet, where I have a lot of the 48K micro drives, plus 2, the 128 toast rack, ZX80, ZX81, etc. And yeah, I do lift these systems out. I have them, there's usually sort of one on rotation that I sort of play about with and so on. I don't do it as much or spend as much time on it as I plan to, or as I intend to. Life usually gets in the way, but at the minute, I have plenty of time to do things. So this was very, very good timing because, as I said, the Kickstarter started 3 years ago. The boards shipped, I think, nearly 2 years ago, because the boards were relatively straightforward, and the board was kind of already there at the beginning of the Kickstarter. It wasn't far off. It sort of existed. But the Kickstarter was to produce a cased version, a modern, not a modern even equivalent. What am I saying? Like a modern, well, the ZX Spectrum Next, the next iteration in a parallel universe. What might have happened if Clive Sinclair hadn't gone bust? It's also, again, you computer nerds will appreciate this, for a computer that you can just plug in, switch on, and play about with, program straight away with an advanced basic. It's a computer that one person can get their heads around it, the way the memory is laid out, and so on and so on. The complexity of it fits in one person's brain. Arguably, with a modern PC with abstraction layers and so on, there's a reason why most games are written by huge teams of people. There are much, much, much more complex beasts. So there's something beautiful in the simplicity of a an 8-bit computer. Enough waffling from me anyway, but I did back both the board, and I got the board a couple of years ago, and I put it into my original childhood ZX Spectrum 48K, which died at some point in the late 1980s. So I did Dremel the case, and probably not as neatly as I could have done, in order to fit the board in, and it works beautifully. This is a little external, because it takes an micro SD card in the side. You can still connect in the tape, load things from tape and so on. but I haven't been doing that. But this is a little external SD card drive, which has been useful because the operating system runs off this SD card. So if you take it out, obviously the machine stops working. It's useful to have this to take in and out in order to swap over to the PC, sometimes to download ROMs or things like that, or little sprite files that I've been editing on the computer to do a little bit of programming. So that's why this is hanging out the side. So yeah, so I've had this, I've been playing about with it recently. I have been following some excellent online coding tutorials to sort of exercise the creative part of the brain again, and break off a bit of the rust that has formed over the years from when I used to program as a child. And arguably, well, without a doubt, this is what led me into my IT career, and that's not an unusual story. So, so these things do have a very special sort of place in my heart, and I know a lot of people sort of, you know, similar sort of generation to me. This is the kind of thing that got us started in, and this is what sort of kick-started the modern gaming revolution that you have today. So if you're only interested in PlayStations and that sort of stuff, that's absolutely fine, but arguably you wouldn't have that without the likes of this. So yeah, so I had this a couple of years ago. Been waiting patiently on the cased version, as I'm sure you are, because yeah, 6.5 minutes and I'm still waffling. Feel free to skip forward. But so the cased version started to ship about a month ago. Everybody's obviously very excited. I ordered the accelerated version because there's the basic, the plus, and the accelerated version. The accelerated version was assembled last. There was also a bit of a delay as well because some of a very small proportion of the machines arrived with some damage because of slight issues with the packaging, maybe where it could have been better. But fair credit to the Next team. They've worked out how to do all of this from scratch. They've worked out how to design boxes, how to transport things, and so on. Box design, box art, everything that goes into all of that. So they've been doing all this really, not as amateurs, but as it's not something that they've done before. So, I mean, they've done the most amazing job. They absolutely have done the most amazing job, and I'm saying that before I even open the box. Yes, that's right. There's a box here. And then obviously the delays with the virus and so on as well. I actually wasn't expecting to see this for a while. I've actually been off Facebook for about 10 days. So if there's been updates in the group that would have told me it was coming, I wouldn't have seen those. But I've checked and I've had no tracking emails. This just literally arrived in the porch this morning. So I'm opening it and I'm going to hope that it's not damaged because unfortunately some of them have suffered damage, but only a small proportion, and I know that those people have been getting sorted out. So if this is damaged when I open the box, yeah, it'll be disappointing, but it won't be the end of the world. I know it will be fixed. So there were delays because the case, the case design, the case molding, the tooling, everything else all had to be done from scratch. I've completely forgotten a name that I was going to use. Anyway, Rick Dickinson, who designed some of the original Sinclair products, sadly passed away last year and has not, unfortunately, not been around to see the machine come to fruition. But it gives a real sort of genuineness to the whole project that he designed this case of this new beautiful machine. And the Sinclair name is licensed from Sky for a charitable donation as well. So it is a proper Sinclair machine because it's got the Sinclair name. So, yeah, 9 minutes. If you're still here, well done. So yeah, so this is what appears through the door. No particular damage outside. I'm going to bring the camera down. We'll get a closer look and see what's going on. See how well this works. Hang on. Okay, so that's probably all right for now. The moment of truth, and I know it's the next because just realised. I hope nobody saw my address on that, but because it actually said next on it, because I actually thought the box was too small, and I thought, oh, okay. For a moment I thought that's what it was, and then I thought, oh no, it's too small, it can't be. And then I saw on it then ZX Spectrum Next Batch 1, backer number 9. Ooh. So here we are. Hang on, I'm going to rearrange this camera a bit. Yeah, so that's better. Wow. So yeah, so the whole idea behind this is, you know, to recreate that feeling of getting like your first computer, rather than just like shipping it just in a, you know, like a brown box and, you know, oh, it's a Kickstarter, here's the machine, and that's it. There's a beautiful manual and everything in here, I know as well, that I'm looking forward to delving into. Just like what we would have got back in the sort of the heyday of early 80s computing. So there's a real sense of nostalgia and everything else. And if you don't get it, that's fine, but, you know, don't take the piss. We're a sensitive bunch. Alright, so, how are we here? Okay, right, so, all looking good there. I was wondering, at the moment I thought the box had opened, but I see actually what's happened here. I suspect this has been put on in order to put an extra layer of like packing padding. I know that they had to do a workaround in order to avoid things getting damaged, so I suspect that's what's happened here. This is the way of getting them to backers safely, so not a problem. So yeah, so this is the box, this is the back, because obviously this is compatible with all of the original software, but being the Next, it does have a lot of extra things as well, new features and functionality. There's lots of active game development going on for it as a new platform, so I really think this thing's going to gain traction. It's the sort of thing that's ideal as well for children who are interested in coding and so on. It's a perfectly or wonderfully accessible machine. You just plug it in, switch it on kind of thing, and then tinker away using the manual. So I'm not going to bore you by going through all the sort of the specs and stuff, but it has an HDMI port, so it really connects to modern TVs, no faffing about. It will connect to tape drives, it will connect to, all the original hardware. It's got Wi-Fi as well. There's a very cool feature with that. This one has, this is the accelerated one, so this has the Wi-Fi built in. It has 2 meg of RAM as well. Which doesn't sound very much, but in the 8-bit days, yeah, it's a lot. So here goes, and I'm hoping, please don't let this be damaged, because if it is, I'll be a bit upset, but as I say, I know it'll get sorted if it is. There are more important things going on in the world, really, isn't there? Ooh. Yes, so there's bits of extra padding there. I think that's what's been added. Yep, but everything looks... Oh, feel that keyboard. I know, nerdy. So I've waited 3 years for this, and I have to say, that feels like a really good, solid piece of kit. Sinclair ZX Spectrum Next. And the keyboard will look familiar too. So you can see, obviously, you know, the design inspiration. It really does look like, if you didn't really know and that was sitting on somebody's shelf, you'd walk past it and you'd almost think that it was an 80s machine, another Sinclair one that maybe you've never noticed before. So we've got on the side here the SD card, and various buttons for different things. On the back, you can plug a mouse in to Specky, various different connections here for different ways of connecting the HDMI port. Under here is the expansion port, the original ZX Spectrum expansion port. So yeah, so that's a beautiful keyboard. That's nice. That's like a really high-end laptop keyboard. That's better than a lot of cheaper laptop keyboards that I see these days. Yeah, that's nice. That's going to be a joy to type on. So having a little look in the box, and unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it happens. I think it's happened to loads of people. There's a slight little rip at the side of the box here. You know, I think there's going to be a second Kickstarter for other people who've missed out. So yeah, so that has torn a little bit, but you know what? It's no big deal. So a bit of a low-tech solution to stop things bouncing about, but you know what? It has done the job. The machine itself is undamaged, so I'm not going to complain. And here's the manual. I think, no, I mean, we were keeping the cover under wraps. Brand new cover art. Again, this is very like the original models, the sort of thing that you would have seen back in the day. Nice big manual. I heard people saying about the print being too small, but that looks okay to me. But I do wear glasses, but having said that, I could see myself, yeah, maybe some of it is a bit small, but do you know what? Again, not going to complain. Really nice fundamental manual that you can delve into and go through. It teaches a lot of the concepts of programming, whether you're new to it or whether it's a bit of a refresher, the extra features and things that you're going to get in a ZX Spectrum. This is just stuff that you just don't get with a modern PC, like, you know, like memory maps and yeah, so it's a really great machine. And then I think this is just the power supply, which is just a standard. But yeah, to give you an idea of the attention to detail, I remember seeing a blog post with this, was that they actually, I mean, this is just a standard 9-volt power supply. There's nothing particularly special about it, but the guys that went through this, they wanted it to be right. So that somebody had to sit, and these little power supplies came in a white box, and somebody had to sit and transfer these into a black box so that it was a black box sitting here. So attention to detail, 100%. You really can't complain about that. That's fab. So I am now going to get out my TV, plug it in, and see how it goes. Okay, so a few things here. So, trusty old CRT TV. I will not be using this for programming because it's hard on the eyes, but for the authentic experience for gaming, this is the kind of thing that we want to go for. The next will take a VGA or RGB out, also HDMI. Because this is an older type of TV, I have got already the VGA cable, or RGB cable, sorry. And also then this lead then is for the sound into that same TV. Put that in. And then the power, no, oh yeah, there's something, oh yeah. Strangely, Next doesn't have a power switch, but again, I'm not going to complain. So I've already got one of these, little inline power switch. I don't know which is on and which is off, so I'm not going to plug this in just straight away because, so it works on an SD card. So look at this. Even the little SD card holder is branded Sinclair ZX Spectrum Next System Software. Lovely attention to detail. Now, since this was manufactured, the system software has been updated. There's been a new version online. I haven't updated this card yet, so I'm actually just, well, we'll see if this works. This is actually the SD card out of my other one, because this is already up to date and I have loads of stuff on it. I'm just going to put this in and hope it works. What I will probably have to do, oh no, I won't. Well, no, actually, yeah, probably what I'll have to do is change the screen mode. So I'm going to get the card in. Oh yeah, I know what I'm missing as well. The feet. Feet at the back, just to have it sitting up. These old computers were never neat. Turn the TV on. Tell you what I'll do now as well to save it's myself switching things off. Is I will plug in again. New purchase. The system will accept old joysticks as well. So I'm going to plug that in at the front just so that I have it. That round the way. Okay, now if I remember correctly, because there's various different screen modes here, I think I have to press space on startup in order to get it to cycle through the different screen modes. Oh, no, it must have been on the right one. So here we go. Yeah, ZX Spectrum Next Standard. Oh yeah, of course, this is going to be flickering. Oh, I've got to update the core. You need this core. Oh, so there must have been a further update. Possibly I've missed that on Facebook. So I'm going to go and do that and come back. Yeah, so I'm a dick. Yeah, I do have everything the latest on the card. It's the core in the machine that needs to be updated. Oh dear. So yeah, so as it's telling me here, we need to update the core in the machine just simply since it was manufactured, or since the main boards have been manufactured. There's been an update to the system software. So I'm just going to go through the updater now. Oh yes, sorry. Hold U to enter the updater. Do you want to upgrade? So it's very easy to update all the software via the SD card. I believe there's various different plans afoot for updating over Wi-Fi, etc., etc. Lots of very exciting things coming up. Exciting if you're a computer nerd. So I paused it there because it was taking a little while. Paused the video. So just switching off and on again now after the reboot or after the update. Sorry about the flickering screen, but this is a CRT. So yeah, we get this nice welcome page and so on. I am just going to press space to skip past that. So if you used a ZX Spectrum back in the day, and let me try and... No, I'm sorry, I know that's flickering like crazy. But if you used the ZX Spectrum back in the day, particularly the 128 or the +2, you got this nice browser. So I have lots of games and things already on the machine. So if we look at sort of classic, I suppose. Yeah, let's go for classic Manic Miner. So it's possible to load it realistically like tape. I'm just going to do, I think, 448K mode, and it'll just load it. Yeah, pretty much instantaneously. I don't know whether... Oh yeah, the joypad does work. I've gone the wrong way. Don't worry, I'm not going to sit and play this for ages. So it's games like this that sort of encapsulate the whole... What's the word I'm looking for? The whole culture around the ZX Spectrum. You know, you had people like Matthew Smith who coded this in his bedroom. You know, back in the day, software wasn't easy to come by. It's just totally not like it is now. You typed listings in from magazines, or you wrote your own games. If you maybe... Family maybe stretched themselves to buy the system for Christmas. But maybe getting software was a problem, so you copied tapes from your friends at school. If you were getting a computer school, you got one that was the same, so that you could copy your friends' games. Or a lot of the magazines at the time had games listings that you could type in. So yeah, so that's a sort of a traditional classic game. Reset is here. Nice and handy. If we go back again, and just to show you, well, I was doing a coding tutorial and I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Daryl? Oh, sorry, Daryl. I think it's Daryl. It turns out he's from here. And his coding tutorials have been, yeah, kind of fun. So I've been going in and, you know, this is the kind of thing that you get here. If you can sort of see this, and again, apologies for the flicker, but you're literally typing in code. You can go in, you can see what it's doing, and you can adjust it and so on. So I've been sort of following his... This was a Connect 4 tutorial that he had, and so you can sort of... It's very basic, really, but it's to do with the ZX Spectrum Next has things. Yeah, I know the yellow's changing color after it drops. That's a mistake on my part. But yeah, so you know the original ZX Spectrum did have limitations that were just the whole thing that was just a product of the time, early days of technology and cost and so on. So it did have limitations. And a lot of those have been addressed. You know, there's been just wonderful things that have been added onto the system, like sprites and so on, which makes game programming that little bit easier if you're a home programmer. So I absolutely do intend to play about with this, and yeah, it exercises. I can't really sing. I tried to play the guitar. I'm not very good at art. I'm not very good at those creative things necessarily. Photography to some extent, yeah, but I know that whenever I started off, left university as a programmer, that well, my first job was as a programmer. I know that to some extent, even though it was for very dull stuff, um, it was a creative outlet. Being able to create something from nothing by typing things in on a computer. Um, Last thing I want to show you then is you've seen obviously something as basic as Manic Miner, hugely influential though it was, but I know then that there are demos of new games up and coming now. Some of them are a little bit delayed and so on, but these things happen. Where are they? Games, demos, various different things here. I'm trying to find the right one. Is it extras? No. Games, cores, demos. Maybe it's been taken out of the distribution. I'm not sure. Come on. No, cores. That's not it. Demos. Well, yeah, it's got like things like enhanced sound chips and so on. Things that would have been very, very expensive to implement at the time. I know, for example, I got the right thing here. Instead of one sound chip with 3 channels, there's now 3 sound chips with 3 channels each, so effectively means 9. But it does fit in with that ethos of the next iteration of the line with a 30-year delay. That's not quite what I was looking for. There's games here. I know there's demos. There was demos of. Come on. There's demos in here of some of the new games like Dreamworld Pogi and stuff, but they've been taken off this distribution. No. Okay. No, I'm obviously missing something there. But there is, let's see, there should be... No, I keep on the wrong place, sorry. I haven't joined onto Wi-Fi yet. Spectron 2084, I think that's one of the new games. So if you sort of know the original Spectrum, you know that this kind of thing, yeah, would have been possible, but it wouldn't have looked the same. There's stuff to do with color clash and all those sorts of things, and the amount of colors on screen and what have you. I don't know whether does this play, or is it? I think this is just a sort of a display demo. Epilepsy inducing, but it looks good. Come on. No, I don't think this plays, but yeah, brain fart again. I found them. So yeah, if we go to the likes of say Dreamworld Pogi, which is one that I'd seen that was particularly. Oh yeah, this uses certain types of screen modes that I believe won't display on a traditional TV, which the majority of Next users are not going to be using traditional TVs, I don't think. So I think that one particular, that's a slight issue. Maybe that'll be sorted. I don't quite know what's happening. Let me try one of the other ones. Games down to, I've like so many games on here. Next, there's a new Dizzy game coming as well. If you know what Dizzy is, this is a demo of Night Night. again, you know, as you can tell, I mean, this is very much an 8-bit game. It's very much in the vein of sort of the era. I wish I could probably sort of explain better. There's plenty of other people who could explain better to those who don't get it, why this is sort of significant and why this is just really such a cool machine. Will it kickstart another bunch of Speccy coders? You never know, it might. I know it would be ideal. These sort of machines would be absolutely ideal for like a programming class in schools. Just to be able to sort of switch it on out of the box and program it. Learn about sprite design, level design, 8-bit art, all these sorts of things. So yes, I can see myself coming back to play this. I know there's you know, this looks like a really cool game. I know that there's a lot more maybe really very you know, technically impressive games on there as well. So I'm kind of just sort of playing about with this myself. There was one other thing. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to show you. The ZX Spectrum was not fast. One of the advantages of this is that this actually can be sped up. Hence, well, all machines have this. The accelerator thing is a whole other topic. But let me just find here something that some games that were released were very. Oh, hang on, I can just do for filter. They were very. No, hang on. They were very ambitious. Let's just say. Games like Driller, for example, which I'm actually not sure if it's on here. And they played like a dog. They were just so slow. I know then that people have had really great experiences so far with some of those games that were good, but unfortunately they didn't play as quickly as people would have liked. I don't know if this is going to work. So the advantage of being able to play this at greater speeds. Now there's loads of other people have demonstrated this better than I have. Oh, it is going. Yeah, I think it's going to work. So this is like supposed to be this amazing 3D. I don't know whether actually. Oh yeah, keyboard, 3 cast and joystick. So yeah, so you can see this is rudimentary 3D. So let's move towards this door. As you can see, I'm holding my finger on the button. We're moving, but we're not moving quickly. Me rotating around, I think you get the idea. So let's move towards this door. So yeah, do you know what? It was early days, but that's not quick. Now, I think there is an issue with this, with the, for those who remember what a multiface is, there's kind of one built in here if you've got the ROMs and things for it, which are not hard to get. But one of the advantages here, this says 3.5 megahertz, which is the original speed. I can up this to as much as 28 megahertz. So game looks the same, but as I now go to move about, have a look. Look at how much faster that is. So there are going to be games that were fundamentally good games, but just were maybe a bit ambitious, that are now made utterly playable. I think that somebody said that there were issues with the control system on this when playing it at the faster speeds. Maybe somebody will fix that, I don't know. But for now, because I think I bought this with my pocket money back in whenever it was, late 80s or something, and I remember being very frustrated and thinking, oh, this is a load of crap. Oh yeah, what was this thing? I can't remember how I'm supposed to shoot at this thing. There's instructions somewhere. on how to actually aim up and down. I don't quite know how to. Yeah, but it works, and it works quickly. So yeah, pretty cool. So I think that's probably everything for now. Maybe I'll demonstrate my fantastic game that'll make me a fortune and allow me to buy a Ferrari. Or maybe I'll just play about with this and enjoy it. But again, yeah, if you've watched it this far, and just if any of the next team, I'm sure you're not watching because there's hundreds of these videos by now, and mine is not anything particularly original or interesting, but yeah, a massive thank you to the guys behind this. You've done an absolutely stunning job, really stunning job. You should be incredibly proud of yourselves. An absolute place in computing history for the people who've come up with this. Something very special indeed. So if you've been watching this far, if you're still with me, thank you very much.